the Ghana Innovation Journal. If you are just tuning in, my name is Ammisaddai Ofori. I'm Director and CEO of the Innovation Spark. And today I am super excited about our conversation. Fintech has been a huge conversation in Ghana. From our last report, Fintech still gathers the most investment in the country, followed shortly by Pharma, which is in pharmaceuticals. So we need to understand Fintech and how it has evolved. And if you're someone like me, you want to understand the story behind how one of the first startups in Ghana started early in the 90s and how they've grown to become one of the backbones of Fintech in Ghana now. So today with me is one of the first founders of startups in Ghana, Mr. Joe Jackson, AG CEO of Dalex. Mr. Jackson, welcome.
Thank you very much. The way you were going, I was expecting a drum roll.
I was really tempted to do the drum roll.
No, it's fine.
So,
Thank
Mr.
you very
Jackson,
much. I'm actually very excited about being on this platform.
Yes, please. We are super excited to have you. And for those who don't know who you are yet, can you please introduce yourself, your role now, and we'll get started.
Okay, so my name is Joe Jackson. I'm currently the acting CEO of Dalex Finance. Dalex Finance is the leading digital financial institution in Ghana. And I mean that in a very serious way. We're not digital. We don't talk digital alternative channel. We say we're truly digital, and we're the best truly digital financial institution in Ghana. But moving on, yes. I'm also a founder of the Soft Tribe Ghana. Many years ago, as far back as 1991.
Yes.
Founded Soft Tribe, and I'm sure we'll be talking about this.
Yes.
I also one of the achievements we had at the Soft Tribe was in 1993. We sold 40% of the company to a VC for $1 million.
As far back as 1993.
No, 2003. Sorry.
2003. Okay.
And that was crazy money. That was some 21 years ago. And since then, after 3 years after that, I sold my shares and went to Nigeria and set up the Soft Tribe Nigeria and did some great things in Nigeria. I mean, including being provider of HR and payroll software to the Dangote Group.
Yes.
Across board. And then I came back from Nigeria in 2012. Sold the company again in Nigeria, sold it to Signal Alliance, and came back to Ghana in 2012 with a fixed idea of how we could transform the financial sector, not disrupting from without as a fintech, but disrupting from within. So I ended up with Dalex Finance, which was a small legacy finance house. And over the next 5 years, transformed Dalex Finance from that legacy manual finance house to the leading digital institution. Some exciting statistics for those who love numbers. Yes. For the first 5 years, compound annual growth rate was over 45%.
Get out of here.
I'm not getting out of here. Those were crazy numbers and crazy times. Compound annual growth rate. So year on year, we're close to 50%. This was from 2013 to 2018.
This is when Ghana was declared HIPIC. No, this is just after, right?
Just after, yes. Now, these were crazy numbers. We were the first financial institution to identify mobile money as the the way to go.
Yes.
By 2014, we were totally cashless.
Whoa.
By
Wow.
2016, we had released our first retail deposit app that worked solely by Momo or electronic funds transfer. No, it was a crazy time, man. It was a fun time. It was a really fun time.
This
So,
is years ahead of the curve, Mr. Jackson.
not just years ahead of the curve, it's still ahead of the curve today.
Well, let's also take it a step back, because like you quoted, you started SoftTribe very early in the 1990s. This is just a few years after I was born. No need to disclose our ages, but for those who haven't even come to appreciate SoftTribe, how you operated back when hardly anyone in Ghana may have known about startups or VC, and you going on to exit not just once but twice. Can we just dial it back and find out how were you even able to raise venture funding in that era when very few people in Africa knew about what venture funding was?
Well, first of all, we were lucky to catch the very first wave of venture funding for the IT sector. And we were by a mile the leading IT company in Ghana then. At that time, we had retainer relationships with 25% of the Ghana Club 100.
Okay.
Yes, that was a measure of the penetration we had. At our peak, we had over 25 full-time developers, and the company had over 80 staff. We had sold software not just in Ghana, but in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Guinea, in Mali, Liberia, Sierra Leone, the Gambia. So you can see that we had worked across. So when the first VC came to Ghana through what then was the Fidelity Discount House, what now morphed into the Fidelity Bank.
Okay.
They set up the first VC fund with a significant technology component. So in those days, they invested in the SoftTribe. They invested in Busy Internet. For those who remember the days.
Yes, we do remember Busy Internet.
Busy Internet, yes. So they invested in Busy Internet. They invested in the SoftTribe, and we were just in the right place at the right time. And we were literally, you couldn't have ignored us if you came into Ghana and you were looking for a company. And we were forward-looking enough to understand that we didn't need control, and we were prepared to give up. And that's very important, that we were prepared to give up control to bring in significant VC funding into the company.
Thank you for that. I was just about to ask that you exited. You mentioned that you had sold 40% of your shares in SoftTribe, and later you had exited to Nigeria. So why did you do that exit? Was there any reason you exited from Ghana to restart in Nigeria?
Actually, when I think about it,
yes,
it was because truly I thought I needed a challenge.
Okay.
The Nigerian market was huge. We were 1/10 of the Nigerian market. The Nigerian market was booming. I felt that, listen, I'm a big fish in a tiny pond.
A small pond, yeah.
And I wanted to go and try my luck to see whether I could even become a significant fish in a much, much bigger pond.
Okay,
So
okay.
it was a sense of adventure. Remember that I walked out of Ghana,
Mm.
landed in Lagos, and said, I'm setting up a software house.
What?
That was, even now, I wonder, Joe, you must have smoked something. I must have
Yes.
smoked something. Because to wake up, land in Lagos, and say, I'm going to set up a software house was crazy. But we did it.
That's insane. Knowing how crazy Lagos itself is, how crazy the terrain is, and you
Yes.
ended up providing solutions to Dangote, who is one of the largest industrialists in Africa. How many people
Not just the largest, he's the richest man in Africa.
Yes, no need to be modest with that one. How did
Yes.
you pull it
Listen,
off? A Ghanaian boy coming to Lagos, conquering the software market, and providing value to the richest man in Africa.
I'll tell you this.
Yes.
In a lot of ways, I was just lucky.
Mm.
One of the things which as Ghanaian we don't realize is that if you go into the Nigerian market as a Ghanaian, you are regarded as somebody who knows what he's about. You are
Right.
regarded as somebody who is smart.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
if you play your cards right, if you don't betray that brand that is handed to you, you do things. I tell you, the most exciting thing about being in Lagos was
Tell
not
us.
just, the software.
Yes.
Listen, I ended up a signatory to the Dangote Foundation.
What? Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
what?
And the Dangote Foundation receives 7.5% of Aliko Dangote's wealth each year. Now, as a Muslim, as a Christian, you can contribute 10% of your wealth, right? Your growth in
That's
wealth.
true. That's correct.
As a Muslim, you contribute 7.5% of your total wealth each year.
Ooh.
I should have framed, taken pictures of the size of checks that he wrote at that time.
Mm. 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 Mr.
It was
Jackson,
great.
this story is valuable and historic. I'm just seeing a comment from someone who identifies as a Gen Z, and they want to know if you can give us a timeline or a timestamp for the Gen Zs who may not be able to appreciate Soft Stripe when you started, when you moved to Nigeria, and then finally coming back to Ghana. So if you could just give us the timestamps, that would be great.
Okay. So SoftTribe was started in 1991.
Okay.
And we got VC funding in 2003.
Okay.
Shortly
That's
after that, in 2006, I moved to Nigeria.
Okay.
And then I came back to Ghana at the beginning of 2012.
Okay. Okay.
And I
Okay.
joined Dalex Finance in 2013.
Mm, mm, mm. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Jackson. Now let's move on to Dalex. I'm sure we'll come back to Soft Tribe, but even with Dalex, you were ahead of the curve, identifying the importance of going digital. You embrace mobile money like you talked about. I'm sure you were one of the very first companies to do that. So, what was the fintech landscape like when Dalex Finance started? Were there any other people playing in that space?
Not really. Listen, Dalex Finance started playing in that space before we even got aggregators. Now we have any number of aggregators who work with the telcos. When we started, the only aggregator was Cellulant.
Mm.
Yes. And interestingly, the telco with the best mobile product, the mobile money product there,
Yes.
was actually with the best Excel until Tigo.
Right.
Yes, it's an interesting world, isn't it?
It is.
And
It is.
just to give you an idea of what we were able to achieve,
Yes.
we looked at the market
Mm-hmm.
and we said we need to grow our distribution in this market. Now, to grow our distribution, we looked at the existing banking sector.
Okay.
At that time, the bank branches, the POSs, the ATMs, the agencies, and all contact points for all financial institutions in Ghana, the banks, didn't add up to 5,000 contact points.
Across the whole country?
Across the country. Of course, thinking of the, I'm not including the rural banks. I'm talking about the commercial banks.
Yes.
Yes, less than 5,000 contact points. That was what it was in 2013. At that time, mobile money agents made up of active mobile money agents were over 45,000.
Okay.
So think about it. It was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
What we set out to do was to say to our clients that I will disburse your money to you by mobile money. I won't send you to a branch. I will start my disbursement by as early as 7 a.m. And I won't stop disbursing till 8 p.m.
Oh.
So what was our reputation in the market? The Dalex Finance product is expensive. But if you can find one of their agents, remember we had over 3,000 agents, and I want to talk about how technology should meld with the use of our human capital. I'd like to talk about that separately. But what the reputation was that if you find a Dalex agent and he puts your details into his phone, you will get your loan within 2 hours. And it doesn't matter whether you process your loan at 5 p.m. You will get it before nightfall.
What?
Yes.
This we have to.
And this was done nationwide. And this was in 2013.
Whoa.
So between 2013 and 2018, right?
Yes.
We grew from being a tiny legacy house to the biggest finance house ever. Simply because the market appreciated the value we were given and came to us in droves.
Yes.
Because imagine, at that time, even today, how long does it take you to get a bank loan? At that time, it took 6 weeks minimum, sometimes 12 weeks to get a bank loan.
Yes, and even the most transformational solution was 48 hours, wasn't it?
Yes, the transformated solution from UT was 48 hours.
Yes.
I came in with 2 hours. And even then, you had to go to a UT branch to get it done.
Yes.
I said, you don't need to leave your village. And my focus was on rural and peri-urban areas. And to say, stay in your village. My agent will come to you. And within 2 hours, the money will be in your Momo wallet and you can cash it.
Mr. Jackson, this is what in recent language we keep calling disruption. You totally disrupted the market.
That was the way in which we got over 45% year-on-year compound annual growth rate.
Yes, that now it makes sense. So was there any infrastructure that you had to build on your own, apart from leveraging the mobile money network infrastructure that's existed?
The exciting thing was that none.
Mm. Mm.
All we did was integrate with the telcos and with the. Remember, at that time, none of the banks had even integrated with the telcos yet. We were the first financial institution to integrate with the telcos.
This is what you call innovation. Honestly, this is what we stand for. Thank you so much, Mr. Jackson, for sharing this. And for those who are just joining, I'm speaking with Mr. Joe Jackson. He's the acting CEO of Dalex Finance. If you missed the beginning, please scroll back. But he was one of the first co-founders to start a software company here in Ghana back as early as 1991. Moved on to Nigeria to shake up the market there, came back to Ghana to join Dalex Finance, and we are just talking about how they leverage the existing mobile money infrastructure to totally disrupt the financial sector. So I'm still talking with Mr. Joe Jackson, and you're welcome to the Ghana Innovation Journal. We are going to continue the riveting story. This is usually for 30 minutes, but I have a feeling this is going to go on longer than that, of Mr. Joe Jackson and how he has contributed to the Ghana Fintech ecosystem. So, Mr. Joe Jackson, let's continue with the conversation on Dalex. You are disrupting the markets. The banks haven't caught on to mobile money and its revolution yet. Were there any regulations that you had to fight? You're also getting 45% year on year growth. Definitely people try to shut you down. Were there any regulations that you had to work around, fight, or try to establish?
Not really. You see, the interesting thing was that if you think about it, this was innovation by using existing tools. The innovation was how we combined existing tools to create a solution. And because we were already an existing finance house with a license to lend, with a license to go out and do all these things, in a sense, we already had all the licenses.
Okay.
And that was the whole idea of not setting. The reason why we didn't set up a new financial institution was that we would then have had to fight battles that we didn't need to fight. We disrupted from within. We didn't disrupt from without. So some of the battles that you talk about, we didn't face it. We already had a license to lend. We already had a license to do e-banking. Even though that license was not being properly used. We already had a license to work with. All we did was to submit our apps, the mobile apps, to the central bank for approval. Yeah. Now, let me tell you how far off this was. I remember submitting a product documentation to the central bank. And the guy in charge then asked us, so where will this data be stored? And I said, it will be stored in the cloud. We were one of the first to adopt cloud storage in those days. To tell you how far ahead of the curve we were, the guy said, so where is the data? Where is it? And I said, well, we're working with Amazon Web Services. And they will sort. Okay, you know what you have to do. Can you take me to see where the server is?
What?
Yes.
I think you have to fly into the US.
I said, well, it's great. We're going to end up in some tank farm underneath the sea in Iceland. But hey, that's what it is. I mean, we had to talk him out of it. But that was how misunderstood cloud services were like. People wanted to actually see. And the rules was that the central bank wanted to ensure that your data was safe. In a state that you could protect.
Right. Amazing, Mr. Jackson. Okay. So, Mr. Jackson, you have clearly demonstrated being ahead of the curve, showing innovation, and my most favorite is leveraging on existing infrastructure to provide innovative solutions. Now let's come back to let's come now forward to the present. What are some solutions now that are making you, Mr. Jackson, maybe snap your fingers and say, okay, these young boys are getting it. These young startup and entrepreneurs are getting it. This is something that I think they are innovating. Are there any innovations now that make you appreciate where the Ghana fintech ecosystem is currently?
The sad thing is that there are not that many companies in Ghana.
What? Don't break my heart.
I'm telling you that it is a failing of our generation. You see, there's no benefit to being like one company that made good. The benefit is that what did we leave as a legacy that will generate the same innovation that we took advantage of? Listen, Google gave out $100 million in grants across Africa. How much of it came done? The hub of innovation in West Africa is not a crown. It's Lagos. It is a sad reflection that when we started, we used to hang out at busy internet.
Yes.
And talk innovation and hang out and share ideas. Forgive me. Where are the places where the innovators of this world share ideas? Where are the virtual hangouts? You see, it's not for nothing that very little excites me. It is because I think that we fail. I feel a sense of failure. I feel that what is our legacy? How many companies have that? I mean, there are one or two companies. There's a company I came across that's doing some really exciting things in the area of credit scoring, machine learning, and AI. That's exciting, right? And that's one company that excites me because I see a huge future for them. But what's the you see, innovation is not driven on one idea. Right. It is about 100,000 ideas for which 90,000 will fail.
Oh, I have to quote you on this one.
Yes. And then those that will pop up will succeed. Will drive real change and will have an impact. It's an innovation funnel. The mouth of the funnel in Ghana is way too small. My dream is way too small. There are not enough ideas being funded. They are not. In fact, my dream is to set up a micro VC that's handing out small grants. We have a few hopes, but what's happening there? My idea is to hand out a few grants, nothing more than $10,000. Just get people generating ideas, people generating ideas, people trying new things, people failing, dropping out, coming in. But at least you're going to have enough money to exist for a year minimum to try out your idea with what is happening. Then we can expand the innovation funnel, and then it will start delivering results.
So it's about patient capital to allow people to dare to dream.
So
that we can get in more innovations.
It's about silly ideas. It's about ridiculous ideas. It's about ideas that seem so stupid nobody will give you money.
Aha.
That changes the world. Not
Yeah.
all hackneyed ideas like us.
Mm, 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 mm. Mr. Jackson, thank you so much. Normally, we would end at exactly 30 minutes, but if you indulge me, I'd like to ask for 5 more minutes of your time. We have some more Gen Zs and millennials who are curious to hear about how you've innovated. So, from Stephanie Pearl Adams, she wants to appreciate what the risks were with your business model when you mentioned that you were giving the loans in 2 hours. Were there any risks involved with such a business model?
The biggest risk was identification.
Right. Yep.
Identification. How do you ensure that the person you're giving the loan to is not really with a stolen identity, such that you end up with a double loan? And we evolved a fairly simple method. What we did was we used our agents.
Okay.
So think of a situation where I'm giving a loan to somebody in Tumu, close to the border in Burkina. I have an agent there. The agent is registered with me. I have his picture. What I do is actually fairly low tech. The agent now requests for an OTP.
Okay.
I send the one-time password to this agent. He
Okay.
writes it boldly with a marker on an A4 sheet like I'm holding up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then he holds the OTP.
Right.
The client holds the OTP up.
Okay.
And then they take a selfie and send the selfie to me. That means
This is crazy.
I can validate that this client met this customer on this date and time, because my OTP is only valid for a short period of time. And I do have the picture of my agent, so I have my back office can verify his picture, and then they can verify the picture of the client using the SNET picture or the voter's ID, or lately the national ID.
This is so insane, Mr. Jackson. What you did was take the tools you had available at the time to do what you needed to do. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. And one more question. Ebenezer says, this is interesting conversation. This is truly the beginning of land tech innovation in Ghana. That's Ebenezer from LinkedIn. Yes, Ebenezer, thank you for your comments. We are just rounding up. If you are tuning in, my name is Ammisaddai Ofori, and I've been speaking with Mr. Joe Jackson. He's the acting CEO of Dalex Finance. But for those of you who don't know, he's one of the first co-founders of SoftTribe, which was one of the first startups ever in Ghana as early as 1991, and he has moved on to do amazing things in the fintech ecosystem. Today on the Ghana Innovation Journal, we have been looking at the Ghana fintech journey, and we just wanted to start with the people who were there in the beginning. So today's conversation has been with Mr. Joe Jackson. For those of you who haven't met him yet, you can follow him on Twitter at Joe_Jackson_GH, capital JOE_Jackson_GH. He shares very, very exciting tweets about the state of the country and how we are evolving as a people. Mr. Jackson, thank you so much. Before we leave, just 2 more words of wisdom from you. Can you let us know what it takes to scale across countries? Because even with SoftTribe, you mentioned all these different countries that you were operating in before your VC funding. You mentioned Chad, Mali, etc. Now we have startups who are looking to scale. What does it take as a Ghanaian startup or as an African startup to scale across different countries? And secondly, how do we leverage the AFCFTA if we can in being able in scaling?
First of all, the first thing I tell you, don't be afraid.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing to be afraid of is fear itself. Don't be afraid. Number two, wherever you end, wherever you get, don't live what they called, don't live an Oyibo life. Get to, if you want to move across borders, get to be an indigent in every place you go. You cannot appreciate and evolve insights from the top. You can only do it at ground level. Right? And after, and this AFTCDA, despite of all its flaws, is a really exciting opportunity. Right? Use Ghana as your test bed. All of Africa is waiting for us. Let's grow that innovation fund. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jackson. This has been one of the most exciting conversations I've had for the Ghana Innovation Journal by far. And I am thinking we will have to get you and other legends like Mr. Herman Hesse on a round table, and we expand on this conversation even more. So, Mr. Joe Jackson, thank you so much for joining. For those who have tuned in again, my name is Ammisaddai Ofori, and I have been interviewing Mr. Joe Jackson, who is the acting CEO of Dalex Finance, one of arguably Ghana's first leading digital financial solution and microfinance solutions here in Ghana. His initials on Twitter are Joe_Jackson. You can find out more about his work at Dalex Finance. Just look for them. Mr. Jackson, can you help us with the website for Dalex Finance?
It's dalexfinance.com. DALEX, X for X-ray, finance, FINANCE.com. And you can find me on Joe_Jackson_GH on Twitter. I'll encourage you to go look at what's happening to our country. I have very passionate views on the economy and finance. I have very passionate views on the harm they're doing to the Gen Zs as the country. And so go look it up.
That's right. He holds no punches back, people. Mr. Jackson, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate your time, and we are definitely looking forward to having you again.
All right. Bye.
Bye.